West Midlands police have banned fans of Israeli football team Maccabi Tel Aviv from attending their game with Aston Villa in the Europa League next month. Now, they cite safety concerns. Now, this isn't particularly odd. It happens quite a lot. Just last year, Polish fans were banned from Aston Villa in the Europa League for the same reason, basically. Now, what's happened since this announcement's been made by the police is all the usual suspects have gone mad on social media, but it's much bigger than that. Now, it's being framed that these fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv are only being banned from attending the game because they're Jewish, nothing to do with the fact that they are regularly involved in fan violence, not only in Israel, but across Europe when they travel following their team in European competitions. What's strange about this, though, is not the fact that all the kind of influencers and agitators are jumping on it to kind of push their anti-Muslim, pro-Israel stance. They do that with anything. I'm not surprised by that. What's quite strange, though, is the fact that it's not just the influencers, it's also the media of left and right wing and politicians from the left and right wing. So we've even got the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, coming out saying that he wants to overturn the decision to ban the fans. Bearing in mind, you're supposed to trust the police, right, Keir? They're supposed to be looking after the people of Birmingham, and that's why they're trying to ban these fans, because they fear for their safety. But it's not just Keir Starmer. In fact, we've had the opposition, Tory leader, come out and say that this is a national disgrace.
I think it is a national disgrace. This is something that the police should be able to deal with. We cannot be a country where we tell Jewish people that they can't come to watch football because their security is not going to be looked after.
Now, saying it's a national disgrace is a little bit over the top, but one MP for the Conservative Party actually came out and compared it to the Holocaust. I don't even know where to go with that. But I see a red flag when I see everyone aligned and everyone agreeing, especially when actually there's nothing really out of the ordinary about this. I've followed Derby County for many years as a football supporter, and I've been at games where, away fans were not allowed, or at least had a decreased allocation as a result of something that they've done before, or fears for safety, time of kickoffs moved and stuff like that to try and accommodate. It's not abnormal. And like I say, the fact that, a Polish team was banned from Aston Villa just last year and it got no uproar whatsoever just goes to show that actually people are exploiting this for political ends. However, it's not gone very well.
Just want to bring you some breaking news from Tel Aviv now. And a derby match between the city's rival soccer teams, Hapoel Tel Aviv and Maccabi Tel Aviv, has been cancelled after riots broke out in and around the stadium. The match was set to take place tonight in the city's Bloomfield Stadium when fans began to riot. In a statement on X, Maccabi Tel Aviv FC said, following the police's decision, it was determined that the Tel Aviv derby will not take place tonight.
That's awkward. What makes it more awkward is actually that piece there on Sky News was just 2 hours after they'd put out another piece where they were talking to Aston Villa fans who were saying this is political, they shouldn't be banned based on politics, they should be banned based on safety. Well, there's your evidence. However, I can't help but think it's bigger than this. When something gets exploded and expanded and it's suddenly everywhere, that's generally a red flag that there's some kind of agenda behind it. Also, the red flag, as I've mentioned earlier, to me, is when everyone's aligned. Now, we're talking about political influencers, we're talking about political leaders from all parties across the United Kingdom, we're talking about all the mainstream media bobbleheads, and we're even talking about the likes of Tommy Robinson, who's been photographed wearing a Maccabi Tel Aviv shirt now. Everyone's aligned. That's a red flag to me. So they're still pushing, even at this point, even after this cancellation of the game in Tel Aviv because of rioting, even now they're still pushing for Maccabi Tel Aviv fans to be allowed into the game against Aston Villa. So I ask myself, why would you do that unless we're being primed for something? Are we being primed for a false flag incident here? Because think about it this way, if they get those fans in and it kicks off, which it almost certainly will because they've got such a huge track record for doing that, these bobbleheads and these government ministers are not going to come out and say, Oh, mate, yeah, we got that one wrong, didn't we? We did, yeah. Soz hun. They're not going to do that. They will frame it the other way. No matter what happens, these Tel Aviv fans are going to be the victims. Simple as that. But are we going bigger than that? Are we gonna witness something larger, a false flag event that is actually that terrorist attack that we've been talking about? We've been saying on the case of digital ID, and also, any other deletion of freedoms, but on the case of digital ID, there's no way they're going to get this through Parliament. They're going to rely on an emergency legislation. Now, what kind of legislation that is, well, that begs the question. But what if they allow something to happen here? Because let's have it right. You've got a load of guys that have just been fighting in the IDF. So they've been going into a war zone where they've been blowing up kids and all sorts, then getting them into Aston Villa, into Birmingham, a city with a large Muslim population. You've got all this furore going on around it, so they're already going to be heightened. Get a few bevies in them, it's going to kick off. But what if that's what they want to happen? What if this is just one step closer to forcing that digital ID everywhere, to the point where you allow it to kick off, it causes absolute carnage. You obviously blame the locals because you can't blame the Tel Aviv fans, because like I say, that ain't going to look good on all these people that have been, so vocal about it over the last couple of weeks. What if you allow that to happen and then use it as an excuse to bring in mandatory digital ID to attend football matches? Because let's have it right, there's a lot of people that oppose digital ID, and so they're going to sneak in ways to try and get you on board. So they'll say to you, oh, you need it for a job, and then that becomes you'll need it for a bank account, and then that becomes you'll need it to travel, then that becomes you'll need it to go to the pub. All these things are already being spoken about by government. Add into that, you're going to need it to go to the football, then you are going to try at least an attempt to try and umbrella a huge amount of people into agreeing to it, because people don't want to give up going to football. They don't. Some people live for this. This is what they do. They live for the weekend. And also, a large number of them, not all, but a large number of them are men. Men that would stand up, at least you'd hope, and say, no, I'm not going to go for digital ID. So you've got to get them on side. What if, ladies and gentlemen, this is what this is about?